It's the GOAT coach, Coach T Flow, CGY Sports. And guys, man, I just heard it's getting hot. It was cold this morning. It was 19 degrees in Columbus. But guys, I just heard that Caleb Downs from the Alabama Crimson Tide has entered the transfer portal. So, I mean, that shit sucks. Alabama has to stop the bleeding, guys. They have to stop the bleeding. And it really comes from, you're going to have to get Nick Saban back involved to be public, to kind of talk to these players like, hey, if we recruited you, I'm still here. We have your best interests at hand. They're going to have to get Nick Saban in to stop the bleeding, because if Bama loses another All-American player to this transfer portal, oh, it's going down, man. It's going to be an exodus from Bama like you've never seen. Keep in mind, these kids, they are the best recruiters, because while you hear and see what's on media, you don't see them tweets and them inboxes. What to name them inboxing, what to name them on Twitter. Say, hey, man, it ain't Bama year next year, man. Don't mess up your look over there with them folk, man. Come on over here to the Bulldogs, man. Come over, be a dog, man. Get your look in for college, man. For the pros, man. Bama ain't it this year, man. So imagine if you have somebody telling you that, and Georgia top 3 team in the country, and Bama is not going to be a top 3, and then let's just be honest. It is what it is. We're not going to be a top team next year. But then you got people from Georgia, other players, because technically, before you enter the transfer portal, a coach can't talk to you, technically, but the players can. The players can talk to you and ask you to come to Georgia or come to Texas or come to Louisiana. Alabama has to get ahead of this thing. I mean, they don't believe in this guy, even though he went to the Natty. They don't believe in this guy. A lot of them are taking the stance that Nick Saban recruited me. I want to play for Nick, which is an excuse, but I get it, because if all the good people leave, you're stuck there on a sucky team. You're not gonna have a good look. I mean, that's what people would believe. I'm like, a team that's full of 5 and 4 stars is the next man up. It's the next man up. So I think if they can stop the bleeding, if they can get Bama alumni, like I said, Nick Saban involved, and let's get out in this thing public. Like, hey, come on, guys, this ain't who we are. We don't leave adversity. We stand up to the challenge. This Bama football. If that's coming from alumni, famous alumni, and it's coming from Nick Saban, it'll stop the bleeding. We just can't let these players continue to enter this transfer portal. We can't do it. Because, I mean, I feel like we haven't seen the end from Caleb. Losing the All-American DB like Caleb. I mean, it might be somebody else who leave on the strength of that. Because more than likely, him and the Williams kid, they're going to Georgia. More than likely. And Georgia needed it. But if you've seen Alabama's schedule this year, guys, I mean, before Nick Saban retired, I was like, wow, this is going to be a hard schedule. Oh, it's almost impossible now for this new guy just by transitioning, you can't expect him to do what Nick did in year 1. Even though I know Bama fans are going to hold this guy to some impossible measure. Bama, in the lieu of getting a new coach, I want my fellow Bama fans to be prepared to lose between 3 and 4 games next year. The Alabama Crimson Tide will probably lose 3 or 4 games next year in lieu of having a new coach. The schedule was hard with Nick. It's going to be almost impossible to stay at 1 loss or less with this new coach. Especially when having these kids transfer. We've had, what, 4 starters transfer? We've had, what, 2 decommit from high school? Come on, Bama. Come on. The only thing that gives me promise, and it's a bad rap for Washington, but I hear that some of the players from the Huskies, keep in mind, the Huskies had one of the top lines in Power 5 football last year. Even though Michigan made them look like some rookies, they had a top line. So we get some of them big Huskies down south, they can handle it here heat. Hopefully we'll get some good blockers for Miro, but that defense is gonna suffer, man. That old, forgot his name, put it in the comments. That old defensive back coach who betrayed us and went to Georgia. I heard he was also one of the top recruiters for us. And man, don't think that them DBs and them safeties leaving, the corners and safeties leaving is by chance, man. He probably recruited them boys. He taking them boys with him. That's what colleges came to. The head coach used to be like, hey, you know, we're gonna go where the head coach go. Oh, that's the leader. When your head coach retires, your position coach or your recruiter is now the leader. You're gonna have more loyalty to him than you would ever have for a new coach coming in. Why would these kids be loyal to Kalen DeBoer? They don't know him. They know their positions coach. They know their recruiters coach. They know the coach that recruited them. So if your recruiter goes to Georgia and your head coach retires, guess what? Unless you just loyal to the school, which we seeing that thing is a thing of the past, being loyal to the school. It's like we saw that with Florida State. They didn't give a damn if they took an L. They put 3rd and 4th string in to protest and make a point, so they didn't care about winning or losing. Or the school. If you ask me, I mean, they might say the school was with, which they probably were, but that's not a good example for a football program, any sports program. But with these kids leaving, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, guys, let me know what you think. What do we need to do to stop the bleeding? Put it in the comments. I think famous, notable Bama alumni need to get in front of this thing publicly. I think Nick Saban needs to give some assurances to these players like, hey, I'm not the head coach no more, but I'm here. You still have access to me. I still got you. I'm still going to help you with your career. We need those assurances to stop the bleeding. Tell me what you think, guys. It's the GOAT Coach, CGY Sports Live. Whew.